The Board of Zoning Appeals is a 5-member board that is charged with the power to grant variances or special exceptions from the town's development standards as defined in the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The board can also classify uses not listed in the zoning ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals meets once a month at Avon Town Hall. A full schedule of their public meetings can be found online at avonindiana.gov.
Welcome to the Town of Avon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. If you are interested in having a copy of the agenda or the staff reports, they're available on the tables to the right of the audience. This meeting is being recorded for public record. Because of this, we request that personal conversations are kept to a minimum and all cell phones are set to vibrate with any phone calls taken outside of the chambers. If you are interested in commenting during any public hearing, please sign up on the sheets located on the tables to the right of the audience. When your name is called, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please address your comments to the board and not to staff or the appellant. Your comment should relate directly to the case at hand. We do understand that there may be several persons who wish to speak. The chair may therefore impose a time limit for each person. Federal law requires that the town make available to all attendees a Title VI public involvement survey. These surveys are on the table to the right of the audience. Members of the public who wish to complete this survey may do so and place them in the designated area. If because of a disability, any person in attendance needs assistance or accommodation to fully participate in this meeting, please notify staff. Thank you for your assistance in facilitating a respectful, fair, and timely meeting. Again, welcome to our meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ian, would you take roll, please?
Paul Guckenberger, Ann Inman,
Present.
Catherine Ransberg, Marcy Tashler,
Present.
Marcus Turner.
Here. Next item is the approval of the minutes.
We have no minutes.
We
this
have
month.
no minutes.
We haven't had them for a few months. There's a lot going on, a lot of changes. I was sick for a while. Bill's been out for 2 weeks, so I've been doing that. So they are coming, I assure you.
We'll look forward to lots of minutes at the next one. Requests for continuances or agenda modifications?
We have none.
Thank you. Next item is public comment. If anyone wishes to speak, you can come forward now. And with no one coming forward, we'll close public comment. We have no old business. So next item under new business is VAR 23-14 Harvest Landing Lot 2 dumpsters. Ian?
Thank you. Yes, VAR 2314 Harvest Landing Lot 2 dumpsters. This is a request for approval of a variance of development standards to allow for 3 dumpster enclosures located within a front yard. Subject property is located at 8499 Dr. Charles Nelson Drive, Avon, Indiana. That's lot 2 of the Harvest Landing commercial subdivision, and it's an 8.7 acre lot. This is the property in question here, surrounded in blue. It is just east of the Costco lot there, along 900 and Dr. Charles Nelson Drive here. It's zoned C2 and is located within Tier 3 of the US Highway 36 overlay zoning district. There's a lot of history associated with the subdivision itself and its development, but specifically regarding this lot, there's just one upcoming DPR, DPR 2314. It's being sought in conjunction with this variance request, and that DPR goes to the Plan Commission on October 23rd, which is this Monday. Hence why they're here today seeking this variance. As I said, it's a request for a variance to allow for 3 dumpster enclosures located within a front yard along North County Road 900 East The subject standard that we're here today for is Chapter 5.1H2 of the Unified Development Ordinance. And this standard states that dumpster enclosures cannot be in an established front yard or in any required side or rear yard. However, conversely, Chapter 2.10 states that trash collection and recycling areas must be in the rear of all buildings unless the Plan Commission approves an alternative location. The subject lot is a corner lot fronting upon both Dr. Charles Nelson Drive and North County Road 900 each, which results in 2 front yards along both roadways. Because of the specific orientation of the proposed buildings, 3 of the dumpsters are unable to be located behind building 2 while also not in an established front yard. So here's a depiction of the site, and we'll get into further detail, but these are the 3 dumpster locations here. Now I've included this landscape plan because the design of the landscaping and the site itself is going to be relevant to staff's opinion here. There are active updates being made to this plan as we speak. So as of right now, this is the newly proposed plan. You can see there's an access here, ride in, ride out access here. But generally the landscaping will be the same minus those areas where the access is. And this second plan was not included in your original packets because I just got this today. Again, these are active updates that are happening. We find that the location of the dumpster enclosures are preferable from a functionality and an operational standpoint. We find that the location of these 3 dumpsters, though in the front yard, provide ease of access by the trash collectors who come and take the trash away, and ease of access by the building tenants who are going to be using it basically on a daily basis. And furthermore, it keeps a distance from the patrons who are going to be frequenting the businesses at this site. UDO compliant alternatives, when discussing them with the petitioner here on, hey, where else could we put these? We find that the compliant alternatives would be located in the parking lot and would therefore be nearer to patrons, exposing them to unpleasant odors and bringing them in closer proximity to waste collection trucks when they're both walking as a pedestrian and when they're in their cars. Other potential compliant locations would place dumpsters further away from tenants, making them less accessible to the people who they're intended to be used by. In fact, Chapter 5.1J6 says that trash enclosures should be convenient, provide convenient pedestrian access for daily waste disposal. Furthermore, we find that the proposed orientation of the buildings and the location of the dumpsters better serve the development and the surrounding areas, both aesthetically and, as explained previously, functionally. The orientation of building 2 screens the view of the mass of cars in the parking lot from the roadway on 900. This is a key intent of the US Highway 36 Overlay Zoning District. And in addition, the rear facades of these buildings are designed to give the appearance of a front facade along 900 to further preserve the aesthetics. Again, I discussed with the petitioner, we explored different alternatives to avoid the need for this variance, but ultimately we found that the reorientation of the buildings to just accommodate the relocation of dumpsters to be impractical and antithetical to the goals of the overlay district. Furthermore, we find that concerns regarding the dumpsters placement are substantially mitigated by the design of the site and the enclosures themselves. Chapter 210P dictates that all enclosures are to be enclosed and screened on all sides with an opaque wall between 7 and 10 feet in height. And we'll take a look at the enclosure itself after this. And furthermore, the UDO landscape standards further screen the view of the dumpster enclosures. Those landscape elements are parkway trees, landscape buffers, parking lot perimeter landscaping, and dumpster enclosure landscaping. All of those are going to be screening the view of these enclosures from 900. So as I said, we'll revisit the landscaping here. And as you can see, we have perimeter parking lot landscaping along here that consists of bushes and of shade trees here. Now, this will only really serve to block this dumpster here and this dumpster if you're heading from the south here. In addition to the parking lot perimeter landscaping, we also have the landscape buffer that is required anytime a commercial use butts up against a residential use. And the ordinance requires that one evergreen tree be placed every 30 feet, which is what we have here. Every 30 feet, there is an evergreen tree, which are further augmented by some shrub plantings in between those. I think it's 3. And then beyond that, we have our parkway landscaping, which requires a parkway tree every 50 feet in the right-of-way along the roadway. So we basically have 3 layers of landscaping to obscure and screen the view from 900. And then lastly, around the actual enclosures themselves, the petitioner has proposed plantings here as well to kind of soften the view against the hard wall of the enclosures. This is a small depiction of the enclosure itself. It's pretty basic standard split face masonry. I believe it's going to be gray, but perhaps the petitioner can clarify that for me. It is required that these dumpster enclosures be, quote, compatible with the buildings which they serve. And then we have a nice metal gate here in black. So with that, we do find that the proposal meets all of the required findings of fact, and we recommend approval of VAR 2314 Harvest Landing Lot 2 dumpsters, subject to no conditions. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Ian, I had a couple questions. Just for clarity here. This would be the correct orientation of the site plan?
Yeah, actually,
So proposed building 1 is at the top, correct?
that is correct. It is north. Yeah, I
Okay.
have to orient this way because this is the way we're going to view it here.
I
I should have added a.
get lost without north arrows. The other question I had was, and maybe my understanding is outdated somewhat, but I thought it didn't matter which tier of the 36 overlay you were in. I thought everything was required to be oriented toward 36, which would make this the side yard, not the front yard. Is that, am I dealing with old information here?
Perhaps, yeah. So I double checked this in tiers 1 and tiers 2. The building has to be oriented. I don't know if it says towards 36 or towards the front yard. And in tier 3, it just has to give a front facade like view. I can read you the actual standard instead of my paraphrasing here.
Oh, I believe it.
Okay.
It's just, I've slept since I've seen this thing. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Then we are ready to hear from petitioner.
Dylan Reynolds with Spaceco, the civil engineer. I don't have a lot to add, so I'll be happy to answer any questions. I think Ian did a pretty good job of explaining kind of the constraints we were up against on meeting some aspects of the UDO, but then just with the building orientation that's preferred by the town up against the road to shield the parking lot, then that put us in a kind of a bind with dumpster locations and screening. So that's why we're here.
Very good. Jeff. Oh, before we get into that, let's go ahead and open the public hearing. Is anyone signed up to speak?
That would just be them too. So
And so next we have Tony Wrench,
he's with the petitioner. So
and you're Dylan Reynolds.
I am.
There we go.
Very good. And I don't see anybody else in the room. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public hearing? Then we will close the public hearing. Now, questions.
Well, I think it's definitely a practical difficulty, very clear there. It is much safer to have them away from the public. Let alone the ease of the employees being able to throw their trash away. I think that it's much safer to put them where you're putting them rather than be in the front, technically, of the parking lot. And I think you do an excellent job with the landscaping screen and the 3 tiers of landscaping and the enclosure. And I agree that you have a practical difficulty.
Thanks.
How tall is the enclosure? Might have been
Uh,
on the schematic, but I didn't.
It is
How tall?
8 feet, I believe.
Yeah, I wanted to say 8 as well.
8, okay.
Sorry.
Say.
Okay. I thought the staff report did a pretty good job of summarizing and yeah, the orientation of the site, the orientation and configuration of the site definitely creates practical difficulty. And I'll also add that I know this is something that at least historically we've been wanting to see in the town where people have brought the building fronts up to the, right up to the front yard and then put the parking in back. However, then you've got a dumpster problem. Not only a problem, but outright conflicts with your parking. So I'm in agreement with everything on the staff report. And as far as practical difficulty goes, I think there definitely is one here. Any other discussion? With that, we will entertain a motion.
I move to approve variance 23-14, a special exception to allow for the 3 dumpster enclosures located within a front yard along North County Road 900 East. Since it has satisfied all the requirements for variances and development standards under state law and subject to the approved findings of fact.
We have a motion by Mrs. Inman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Tashler. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ann Inman,
4.
Marcy Tashler,
4.
Marcus Turner,
4.
Motion carries. Variance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on, do we have any other business tonight?
No other business.
If we have no other business, we are adjourned. Thank you.